Hi guys, thanks for joining us today at lunch today. We appreciate you guys taking the time out to watch this webinar while you eat your lunch. Again, this is 5 ways to protect your business. Appreciate you guys coming out and enjoying this webinar while you eat your meal. We're going to start off with who is 1080 Titan Technologies. Very simple. It is a 15-year service company. Chris Wilson is the CEO with over 17 years of experience. Started in a dorm room in Oklahoma, Eastern State, Oklahoma State College, room 303 to be exact, back in 2002. And we're currently HQ'd out of Charlotte, North Carolina. So what does 1080 specialize in? Network design. We design the networks to run efficiently and also to be able to scale as needed. With that is also network security. We want to make sure your network's secure. There's no intrusions coming from the internal and the external. A lot of times the internal threats are more common than the external threats. We do the IT and network consulting. We get you where you want to go. We build out a plan for you. We make sure that you're headed in the right path you need to be headed on. Know that old technology. Make sure you're good with all the technology you have currently. Of course, we do the computer and network monitoring. That's basically, we watch your networks to make sure everything's straight. You'd be surprised what we find when we do that kind of stuff. Disaster recovery, flood, fire, hurricane, you name it, any disaster, we can help you recover from it. 99% of the business, not 99%, but 60% of the businesses don't make it after a disaster. 99% of the businesses don't have a disaster recovery plan. Data backup, we make sure your data is getting backed up. We also set you a plan for it as well. Cloud computing will put you in the cloud. It is 100% safe. As long as you choose the right solution, we have those right solutions for you. Firewall and network security, or installation more or less. We install those firewalls, make sure they're good, and make sure they're up to date. Technology auditing, we come in and we check up your network. We don't necessarily audit. A lot of people don't like the word audit, but we just come do a network checkup to see where you're at and computer checkup. Virtualization, we'll give you hosted stuff in the cloud, and you guys can work from just about anywhere. So the first thing in the 5 ways to protect your business is to bolster your access controls. That's access controls to your softwares that you have in the cloud. It's the access control to your network closet. It is the access control to getting into the firewalls and any other things like that. The key is a strong password that's using a mix of upper and lowercase letters, special characters. And when you guys reset your passwords, don't use the default, change it. A lot of times people will just keep the default password because it's easy and it's easy to remember. That's not recommended. Change the password, change it to whatever you can remember, and then make a sentence out of it using the uppercase. And let's say you have an A, you change it to that symbol. You have an I, change it to a exclamation mark. It is pretty much making sure that who really has access to your network, who really needs access. I only recommend 3 people for that: an IT person, the owner, and maybe the next in charge if the owner's not there. That's really the only 3 people who really need to have access. Some person that's really good at IT, but they're not part of the IT company, don't really recommend that. Once they know stuff, they can pretty much do whatever they want. Again, is your important equipment, your modem, your firewall, your switches and your routers, are they all locked in a place to where you need a key to get in? No one just direct has access to it to where they can go in. A lot of people, they want to mess with stuff, especially if they're not in the mood of, they know they're fixing to get fired. I've seen an IT person, believe it or not, cut a whole bunch of network cables. It was lovely, just saying. With the cloud technologies, the portals, basically, are they locked down to where people can't make changes? Who has access to those? And do they really need access? Like, really comes down to really the first one, who has really need access to it. If you don't need somebody to have access to it, don't give it to them. I don't care if the Earth's coming to an end. The Earth may never come to an end. It may or may not. You know how that goes. But other than that, that's the access control. You want to make sure that who really needs access has the access, and who doesn't, they don't ever see the light of day of it. Keeping all your software updated. I cannot stress this enough. Those little alerts you get for your Java, go ahead and update them. If you know it's coming from a legitimate source. The Flash, if you know it's coming from a legitimate source. If you don't know, ask somebody who knows in your organization, or reach out to an IT company. You can even reach out to us and we'll let you know. Your antivirus, you got to keep your antivirus updated. From your firewalls to your software for the firmware, for the switches, you want to keep that all updated. And always with the Windows updates, you always want to wait maybe a day or two, but not farther than a day or two to update those updates. There's software out there that will let you keep that going for you. I can definitely tell you guys if you want to know. Shoot me your questions, ask me, and we'll keep all questions at the end. There's already a question coming through. Yep, I'll definitely enter that at the end. Okay, so this one is a big one. You want to keep your software standardized throughout your whole entire organization, from your operating system to your browser to your media player to your plugins that you have to use. Standardizing it makes it simple to keep updates going, and everybody knows what updates coming through, and there's no guessing, oh, did you get this? No, I didn't. So it's one of these things is that it's always good to standardize your software from your OS to your plugins and everything in between. Plus, it makes it a lot easier not to have the hassle, oh, I need to update, I can't join you the conference right now, or something of that nature. It happens often where somebody didn't keep standardize their equipment, they come for a conference and they have to wait 6-7 minutes to be able to do what they need to do. That also keeps them from not downloading unnecessary software. So with you keeping your software standardized, it makes life a lot easier for your organization as a whole. The next slide that we have is using network protection. What I mean by that is as simple as installing a firewall and configuring it correctly. A lot of people, they don't configure firewalls correctly, and so that just creates more havoc sometimes. And if everything is not configured correctly, you'll have issues. So if you're away from the network itself, using the VPN to get into the server, if you have an on-site server or something of that nature where your information is being protected, there are many times that a VPN is not set up correctly and it is not connecting to the network once you leave the network. So VLANs are very simple. They basically are paths that are virtual and separating traffic, segmenting it out to where the phone is getting the most priority for the system. Because if you have your phone and your data going through the same path, it's going to get muggled and it's not going to sound right. And people will get frustrated, your signal sucks, or it's not really a signal, it's because the data is being transferred through and it's not getting prioritized like it's supposed to. The other one is proper access controls. I'm talking about who has really, this goes back to the other slide, who has really control of who needs what, and then also with that, the proper maintenance that's being done to be able to make sure your system's up and running. You want to make sure that everybody has access to what they need, but keeping limited on what they don't need. The next one is employee training. I cannot stress this enough. Sometimes the most threats to our company is the internal threat of somebody having access to something, or they're getting a phishing email and they don't really know what to do with it, or they respond to it, or they open the attachments. If an employee works with stuff that they get attachments all the time, they're not thinking about where it's coming from, they're just opening it. A lot of times these attachments have macros that will have Trojan horses or viruses or something of that nature to where it will cause havoc on your network. Ransomware is a big thing about that one too as well. With that being said, there's stuff out there you can use to help them understand when it's a scam email. And a lot of times I recommend companies setting up a phishing email or like a phishing ad or scam ad, something like that nature. So the external people that call you and say, I have an issue with you trying to sell me something and I don't think it's really you guys, can I send that email to you so you can track it? That's one of the things I say is, yeah, you can send it to phishing@1080titan.com and I'll see it. I'll be able to know what's happening. A lot of companies don't realize they need to have that, and it's recommended. You don't have to have it, but it is very recommended. The other thing is having them use strong passwords and not attaching them to the monitor. I see this all the time. They have the username and password in the website that they need to log into. And if I was social engineering coming in and I saw it, and I just happened to snap a picture of my phone because everybody has phones now, I could use that and get in and do whatever I wanted to. Social engineering happens all the time. Don't have them put their passwords on the monitors. If you have passwords, take them off now. The other thing is make sure the passwords are strong. Using the symbols and make sure upper and lowercase letters and numbers. I mean, it's easy to put a number. I have 2 dogs in the house that are in South Boulevard. You could do that and just make the letters out of that. 8 characters long. Better than that, I mean, just make sure they are strong and not accessible for everybody to see. And then you can also provide them with resources. There are companies out there that do this specifically, and they are very good at doing the resources. Of course, there's going to be a monthly fee with it, but I mean, at the end of the day, it would be better to have resources to have where they understand new threats come every day. There is no threat that doesn't happen every 6 months. It happens a new threat every day. And so that is the 5 things that will help your business be a lot better, a lot more secure. Having that in place will help. Now, we had questions come through, and these are some of the questions I've had. I want to go over them now. Bob asked, what firewall do you recommend? Well, you have SonicWall, you have Sophos, you have a few other ones out there, but we really recommend Sophos. They actually specialize it. With Dell, and not really Dell anymore, they sold off. With the SonicWalls, they've been transferred around too many times, and they're under a company that doesn't specialize in security. They're more or less a computer company, but they don't specialize in security. So I really recommend the Sophos because they specialize in it. Sam asked, is there a program that checks software for you? FileHippo will check the software for you, but you have to run it on your own. With that, it's not always accurate because I have a couple of programs I check out every once in a while to see. It's saying that there's a update for one of my softwares, and I can't ever find it because I go to the actual site that actually produces it. I even called them about it, and they said, nope, that doesn't exist just quite yet. But that's the most accurate one that I have found. I would recommend at least running it once a month. It checks just about for everything, but that's FileHippo. I think it's a .org. You type FileHippo or FileHippo in Google, and it should pop up for you. Sarah asked, who do you recommend have access to the network closet? Okay, so what I recommend to the people that have network closets is the owner, the next in charge of the owner, and the IT company. That is really who I recommend. Anybody that is the owner, the next in charge of the owner, and the IT company / internet company, like your internet provider. Those are really the main 3 to 4 people that I would recommend to have in the network closet. There really doesn't need to be anybody else. Okay, Rachel, what is a good password consist of? Upper and lowercase numbers and special characters that are accepted. With that, more than 8 characters. If you want to do the minimum 8 characters, that's fine. I would say no more than 16 characters, because then you're just typing there for a century. That's what it feels like sometimes. But upper and lowercase letters, numbers, and special characters, and make a sentence out of it. Easy to remember. Don't put it on your monitor, please. I don't want to walk in and see it on your monitor. But other than that, that's what a good password really consists of. Tim asks, what does Tech Audit cost? Those are free. The reason they're free is because we always find something. We always do. We don't want to charge. All we ask is for you guys to have the meeting after we get our report together for you guys. That's the only thing we ask. Most of the time with networks, they're in decent shape. They could be better, but it's all about what we find and if there's correction measures to actually fix it. With that being said, we love doing these. They're not hard. They're fun to do. And with that, we just want the meeting after. But we'll come in, we'll check everything, make sure you're all set. But other than that, there are other questions. We're kind of running out of time. I will email you each individually to get those answered for you. I have no problem answering the questions. We're just kind of running out of time. I'll keep this going for another 2 minutes that we can get you guys' questions. But other than that, our next event is Tech Planning for 2018, December 12th at 2 o'clock on 2 o'clock. So at the end of the day, keep that in mind, Tech Planning for 2018. That's another event we do. That way you guys are all set for next year. If you guys have any more questions, email me. Other than that, I'll answer each individual questions after this. But other than that, keep in mind, Tech Planning for 2018, December 12th at 2 p.m. Thanks, guys, for joining. We'll see you next time.